Well, I've seen the Punisher. One last kill. And, well, right off the bat, you've got a title that is, just doesn't represent what happens at all. In fact, it's wholesale slaughter in this show, and it ends on a note that there's a whole lot more to come. So, one last kill? Are you out of your mind? Well, of course, the narrative of the story is maybe he thought he would do one more. I don't know, but he was at the end of his Punisher career. He had gotten his revenge on everybody that he deemed responsible for the death of his family. And so now he's left with really nothing. And he sits in his apartment and stews with his agony and pain and remorse and loneliness. And he's tormented by the ghosts of his past. Of course, the ghosts of his family, but the ghosts of his Marine buddies and people like that. And it's just driving him insane to the point that he's pretty much ready to end it all. And the only thing that prevents him from doing it is, well, a brief appearance of the ghost of his daughter. Now this is all his hallucinations and everything because he's so tormented. And it's, like I said, it's driving him insane. And that's the only thing that kind of prevents it. But as he's heading back home after this, and Nucci shows up. Well, now she wants revenge because, well, it's her family he wiped out. So now she's come she wanted to, lord it over him. And at a specific time, the same time that he had killed her last son and all this sort of thing, a bunch of murderous bastards are coming to attack his apartment complex. And that's exactly what happens. And that's the bulk of the show, of him stuck in that apartment building dealing with this, not the least of which his neighbors all being attacked as well. And you have to think, well, why do that? Why not just have an assassin take out Frank? Because that's who she's mad at. Well, she wanted him to suffer way much more than just losing his life. So she's going to unleash all this evil criminality and whatnot on the whole of the apartment building and direct it that it's his fault. You're the reason this is happening and that kind of thing. So to torment him with that before he's finally taken out. And she figures, well, one of these guys is bound to get him. It's a whole army of them in there. And, doesn't go that way. Like a fish to water, he snaps back to it, and it's just one glorious takedown after another. They try setting him on fire. That doesn't work. Just whatever he can get his hands on. Heads explode all over the place. He locked away his own weapon so he doesn't, because he was going to retire, so he didn't have those. So that's okay. He just takes theirs. Just mows them down. And to be fair, at the same time, he saves people. So his neighbors are being attacked. He saves them. And just one by one, he goes down and he gets close and he gets wounded, but he keeps going. And then there's this man who runs a little deli or what have you. And he's got a little daughter who reminds Frank of his own. So he's got to go down there and save them. And that's what he does. And that's the heroic measures that often are the offshoots of what Frank does, But this is the thing. He, in the midst of all this carnage, he's found his purpose. He's the Punisher. And these people need punishment. And look, the punishment does fit the crime. These were all evil, irredeemable bastards. So you just sit back and enjoy the show. And that's how it goes. The surprising thing is this is under the Disney. But here, man, I'm saying, there's blood splattering everywhere. This guy goes at him with an axe. He misses. Frank takes him out. And oh no, he swings at Frank and hits his buddy instead. Then Frank hits that guy and he falls down on the axe and it goes into his face. Well, you know, you got to have a certain amount of responsibility for your weapons. You know, they can always be turned against you. And that's exactly what happens over and over again with old Frank. And so now he's found his purpose. He hit his stride. And so I guess that the only downside is he's not suited up while he's doing this, which, you know, he was giving it up. He's walking away. And suddenly all this crap erupts, even though he had warning that it was going to happen. I guess he didn't expect it to be that hellacious. I guess he expected people to come get him. So how much screen time does the Punisher get? Even though he may not just be a cameo, he may be weaved into the story. Certainly the story involving the hand that we see in the trailer. It would make sense that he's somewhat, if it's just a cameo, okay, it is, and Spider-Man deals with him and he goes away. And then he moves on to the next part of the story. The Hulk is there. How much does he fit into it? Well, Spider-Man suffering this mutation. Jean Grey shows up. So they're all going to have stories weaved in with him as he goes through. So, of course, you know, we'll see how that goes. But nevertheless, this, I guess, sets you up for where Frank is. He's back in his suit. You know how he got back into it. So next time, he's teaming up with Spider-Man. So, if only briefly, you know. So that's the deal. But ultimately, back to this show, is that Manucci wanted her revenge on Frank, and she wanted him to suffer, and that's why it was so brutal and nasty and really over the top and ridiculous. I don't think you could really pull that off with that many psychos, but nevertheless, that's what happens. And it was the absolute wrong thing for her to do because he was already dying. She basically saves him. She saved the Punisher. So, gave him purpose and all that. So there it is. Yeah. So, wrongly titled. But other than that, pretty good. And Punisher in one special beat out what Daredevil had in 2 seasons. Maybe Daredevil should just be these specials, you know. So far, Marvel's been pretty good at their specials. Werewolf by Night was good. The Guardians special was all right. And now this one. Yeah, I'm thinking that's what they should do because that way you only have an hour or so you don't have a lot of time to mess it up, which they do a lot. So, yeah, that might be the solution to this for a while until they can get some actual good talent to write better scripts and whatnot and figure this stuff out. But anyway, there you go. The Punisher. One more kill of many. Or one more kill after another. I don't know. Better title, more honest title than One Last Kill. Yeah, no, it's not the last. So anyway, there you go. The Punisher. Well, I've seen The Punisher, One Last Kill. And, well, right off the bat, you've got a title.
And escape to heaven. the culture. Pop, 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 pop goes the culture.
The first of, well, not the first. It's one more of many. Yes, that's right. And that's what I expect. I don't know if they're going to do a follow-up to it or what have you. But, you know, they do leave it as some possibilities for that. But anyway, so that's that. I'll have that one separately out, as I will with whatever else I cover here when I cut it all up and make them into their individual videos. Yeah, yeah. So A. Thompson's here. He says, hey, I watched the new movie Hail Mary. Not that bad. I've heard good things about it. Yeah. I stopped paying attention. When will Alien Earth Season 2 come out? I don't know. I don't know if they've announced when it comes out yet. Still upset. They're not shooting in Thailand. Probably because it's not gonna be set on that island anymore. Yeah. The stream cut. Oh, it's back. What the hell? You see, it's things like that. Why does it do that? I mean, on this little screen I have here, it keeps showing it. Kind of, well, it's running now. Yeah, so it looks like it's going okay. But my main control is within OBS. So anyway, I guess I'll get to these articles about, you know, Paul Bettany at Disney upfronts. Well, all right then. Boy, I guess part of the pay for Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars that they're shoveling enough money to make both movies, but they're giving it all to Robert. This must be part of the deal. He's got to promo all these other Marvel projects that they got to hurry up and poop out. Although I don't think he did anything for Punisher or Daredevil. Hey, but you know, neither one of them were Avengers. So, but Vision was, yeah. And then, of course, Tim Hiddleston there for, you know, he's going to be Loki in Doomsday. So anyway, Marvel Studios revealed a first look at Vision Quest during Disney's Upfronts presentation with Robert Downey Jr., Tim Hiddleston, and Paul Bettany taking the stage to tease the next Marvel television series coming to DP. Vision Quest premieres October 14th, 2026 on, you guessed it, DP. So maybe there'll be a little scene in there that connects it to Doomsday. Maybe even Robert in the Doomsday Dr. Doom suit might show up. You think? Nah, probably not. But maybe Loki does. I don't know. Anyway, so the series continues the story of White Vision. Yeah, he was all white and stuff at the end of WandaVision. You know, after the events of WandaVision, with Paul Bettany back as Vision and James Spader returning as Ultron. Because remember, he's just AI. So even though they blew up all his robots, he's out there somewhere. That's usually how that goes. Same thing with Brainiac and Superman, you know. So there's the guys hanging out. Hey man, what's going on? You know, well, we're doing this again. Yeah. So this is the image. It's the only image released. I don't know. Vision goes to Disneyland. I don't know. You know, and so there's Robert hamming it up. You know, Spider-Man's there for some reason, and well, they really miss working together and stuff. So, oh boy, they're all going to get to do it again. And then here comes the Vision himself. When everyone's cheering Robert and Tim. But anyway, the teaser features Bettany in human form, watching Vision's memories play out like a film. The setup follows White Vision after, well, you already said that. You're repeating the same thing. The issue is that White Vision has the memories, but did not actually live them. Yeah, it's just like they had a flash drive of Vision's, you know, memories. So they uploaded it into this White Vision version of Vision. And by white, I mean he's painted completely white head to toe. He's not red with green tights and yellow cape and all that. Well, he can always get the green tights and yellow cape back, though. You know? And some paint. That's all it takes. And he'd look like he always did. But anyway, now he's trying to understand who he is and whether he can reclaim the humanity and emotions that defined the original Vision. Ultron is also back, once again voiced by James Spader. The teaser shows Spader appearing in human form as well. Well, he is a human, so it's not just his voice. It's just going to have James Spader walking around, right? Yeah. And so, he's achieved some sort of human body. So then the Vision's like, whoa, how'd you do that? Well, if you stick with me, maybe I'll show you how. So, hey, that's how you make a deal with the devil and all that. Anyway, with Ultron there to help Vision while also daunting him. Because ultimately it was the Vision who defeated him back in that, second Avengers movie that wasn't all that great. But anyway, Marvel Studios shared photos from the Upfronts presentation showing Robert Downey Jr., Tim Hiddleston, and Paul Bettany on stage in front of the Vision Quest logo. One image also shows a first look shot from the series featuring a mysterious man in a dark coat and hat standing outside a large mansion. Downey and Hiddleston appearing alongside Bettany also gave the reveal more weight, especially with Vision Quest tied so closely to Marvel's AI history. Tony Stark, Jarvis, Ultron, and the larger MCU timeline. And if you say, well, yeah, I guess so. Anyway, Marvel previously revealed more details about Vision Quest at New York Comic Con, where Bettany surprised fans on stage. The series is described as the final part of the WandaVision trilogy, which began with WandaVision and continued with Agatha all along. Oh, God. Yeah. Do you think they actually tried to do something here, in the hopes that it can salvage? I mean, the WandaVision show just sabotaged itself because, they were supposed to have Doctor Strange in it. And at the last minute, they suddenly realized, wait a minute, he's white and male. We can't have that. So they cut him out of the show. Problem is, though, whatever it was Doctor Strange was supposed to do for Wanda, they didn't have anything to replace him. So it just sort of fizzles at the end. Very stupidly. So, yeah, sabotage show. So then, Agatha all along, which no one really cared about. Nobody watched it except stupid me, And then now poor Vision. You think he'll get justice? Well, Vision Quest follows White Vision as he tries to reconnect. Yeah, you already said that. Bethany previously said White Vision's journey is about trying to understand who he was and reconnect with those memories, but with lasers. Okay. Paul Bettany returns, of course, James Spader, and I guess will Wanda show up? But she's dead. Or is she? Yeah, maybe they could do that. But then, will they have a cameo at the end of Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom? Said, I need you, Vision, for my big plot. And of course, Vision won't know who he is or anything. So anyway, Terry Matalas, known for Star Trek Picard, serves as showrunner. So that's what he's been doing since that, greatly overrated show. It was better than the rest of what they did over at Secret Hideout. Yeah, but, it's not saying much. So, all right, let's take a look at this picture that the Direct has. So there he is. There's Vision, but that's from earlier. So there's the house. And here's the main picture. And who is the mysterious man? What? It might even be Vision himself. Let me see here. Let me zoom in on this. Yeah. You see? Doesn't that look kind of pink? Like his original look? and even the hand is. So, this is some mansion. Kind of a weird design, But anyway, maybe that's where Ultron actually lives. And Vision's had a paint job or whatever, but he's pink and everything. But they say he's going to look human. And there does look to be some hair. Yeah. So, and then it has this weird, I don't know if this is just the crappy photo, but it's almost, of course, it does say he watches his memories. So they're going to go back to that business of being sort of on television, like the WandaVision thing, but that was Wanda's fantasy world. So I don't know. This does look like these little lines here, if you can see them, like this is taken from a screen. So, I don't know. That could be what it is. While Vision Quest publicly teased, police still doesn't unveil the identity of the mysterious man in the foreground. The Direct was in attendance at the New York Comic Con, where the same clip was showcased at the Marvel Television and confirmed that it is, in fact, Paul Bettany's Vision. Oh, well, there we go. That's spoiled. So, yeah, it's him in a, I don't know, raincoat and hat. So, anyway, amongst the biggest spoilery takeaways from Vision Quest's first trailer was that Vision will encounter other Stark AIs in human form within this mansion. Oh, so you mean the company has this, or did Tony actually have a bunch of human AIs walking around? Could one even be him? Anyway, including James Spader's Ultron, Emily Hampshire's Edith, Orla Brady's Friday, James Darcy's Jarvis, and more members of his artificial family. Well, look at that. He's going to have a happy home with other, creepy AI humans. Many have theorized that Vision Quest is hiding a dark twist, you don't say, within its seemingly gorgeous mansion, with James Spader's Ultron perhaps lulling Vision into a false sense of security to gain control over him. Yeah, that's probably the whole plot right there. Whatever the case, the truth will start to unravel when Vision Quest begins on DP on October 14th. When it comes to the rest of Vision Quest's footage, fans are sadly out of luck, as that isn't expected to be released online for the time being. Still, descriptions revealed some of what attendees saw from the MCU's next live-action show. Vision spent most of the footage in his human form. Yeah, it's cheaper to do it that way. All Paul has to do is just put on regular clothes and show up for work and do his lines. He doesn't have to sit for hours in a chair for the makeup and stuff, and then whatever the other elements of the costume they got to CGI in after the fact. Oh, my goodness, that's a lot of money. So let's just say he's human now for some reason, So, again, this is probably all fantasy. None of this is real. It's not magic fantasy like WandaVision, but it's AI fantasy from Ultron. Yeah. So anyway, but Vision's still missing his humanity and emotion, blah, blah, blah. So he's going to be, like Spock walking around. Yeah. He'll get it all back. Anyway, attendees were treated to the return of James Spader's Ultron, now in a human form. It's, again, with a sizable beard and ready to taunt Vision throughout his quest. So there you go. That away. Again, you can save on money because Ultron was this, CGI robot. Well, my goodness, you can imagine the expense. So you don't have to deal with that until the last episode or something like that. Maybe have a fight between Vision and Ultron, and then there you go. So yeah. Wonder how many episodes. Are they doing 8 of these? Because I think he's pretty predictable. He's going to be lulled into this idiot trap by Ultron, taunting and tormenting him with what he can never be, and then he breaks through the fantasy, the illusion, and defeats Ultron. And through all that, since he does feel, he realizes, maybe I am human after all. So anyway, just recently, Marvel Television waited until 2 months before the premiere of Daredevil Born Again Season number 2 to deliver the first trailer to the world. If Vision Quest follows a similar pattern, as seems entirely likely, fans may be stuck with trailer descriptions and ogling the occasional still until August. Well, yeah, but are they really on the edge of their seat for this? Yeah. So, of course, as everybody's favorite Stark AIs now seem to have human bodies in Vision Quest, it's tough to imagine this mansion world they exist within being anywhere other than the depths of Vision's new white body and programming. This still of Vision approaching the mansion may represent the moment he recovered his memories in WandaVision, thus joining the many other remnants of Stark interfaces within him. So he's just having a long-winded, season-long nightmare. Perhaps it will be connected with the digital heritage that allows him to truly regain his humanity before the credits roll. Yeah, something like that. While Vision Quest seems to at least partly take place in a virtual world, yeah, it's pretty obvious it does. That doesn't mean it will be all devoid of real-world action. The avenging synthoid is expected to have a Deathstroke-esque bounty hunter on his tail. Oh. Okay, so they'll go back and forth or something. So he's dreaming in this dream world, interacting with the other AI, which may all just be Ultron messing with him. And meanwhile, you've got some deadly assassin stalking him. So, if you spread that around, you at least get some amount of action in this, because that's what you're supposed to have in a superhero story. Anyway, pursuing Vision for the technology he possesses while he seeks this inner peace. Well, before Vision Quest, Marvel Studios has another major D-plus sequel on the horizon, the long-awaited premiere of X-Men 97 Season Number 2. Well, that first season wasn't that bad, but they'll probably mess this one up. Anyway, the animated follow-up has its world premiere set for the Tribeca Festival on June 13th, after which its marketing campaign should kick into gear and all that. Well, there you go. Oh, boy, oh, boy. You look at all that exciting stuff that you have coming to some screen somewhere near you. And won't that be delightful? Sure. So anyway, yeah, I suppose it's kind of this sort of kind of interesting take on splitting up the fake fantasy world that Wanda had created. And now it ends on yet another fake fantasy world now created by AI. So, and yet, oddly enough, AI is also the hero of the show. Hey, what are you getting at? So, there you go. Are you excited? Oh, boy, I bet you are. I bet you can't wait to tune in for, Vision Quest. And look, maybe it will be. Maybe it will be. But then again, it might just be another failure. Like one other movie they did. You probably don't even remember it. In fact, odds are you never saw it. And you made the right choice. The Eternals. Here's a little story about, well, the franchise test. Marvel's Eternals fails Disney's franchise test. Really? Well, let's take a look. Marvel's Eternals keeps aging worse as Disney makes it clear it wants franchises that actually last. Well, yeah, that's the purpose of a franchise. Like one movie won't do it. That's not a franchise. You need a movie that can produce several movies and sell all kinds of merchandise, maybe even spin off into TV shows. Now that's a franchise. Well, Eternals didn't do any of that. Puck. That's with a P. Puck's Matt Maloney name drops Eternals while breaking down the new Disney CEO Josh D'Amaro's recent comments about where the company is headed. D'Amaro said Disney is focused on investing in IP. I do, but, on occasion. And creativity that breaks through, builds connections, and endures. In other words, franchises with staying power. Well, yeah, you gotta kind of knock it out of the park from the get-go, You can't just immediately collapse onto the floor in your own puke or whatever, you know? Well, Eternals did just that. So Baloney Says Tomorrow is talking about what makes Disney different from Netflix, YouTube, Amazon, and the rest. Brands and established IP. Well, that's right. They were trying to get their own IP, especially Netflix, but somebody else swooped in and took it right out from under them. Oh, boy. But anyway, Disney wants movies and shows that can feed the whole machine. Theaters, DP, theme parks, cruises, merchandise, Halloween costumes. Yeah, okay. Target backpacks, specialty cocktails, all of it. Baloney wants to Toy Story, points to Toy Story as the model. 5 movies over 30 years. Yeah, okay. With IP that still works in theaters, on streaming, in parks, and across consumer products. Eternals is what happens when the Disney flywheel fails. Well, one thing is you took its main character, its lead character for the Eternal story, and turned him into the villain. And then you rewrote the actual adversaries, the deviants, into, I don't know, just CGI messes that didn't really matter at all. It bore no resemblance to Jack Kirby's story whatsoever. You gender swapped, race swapped, I think a few maybe, and that kind of thing. But that was nothing compared to the overall story you did, where you destroyed the main hero of the group. Yeah. Not only that, the Cersei character, that's not her at all. I don't mean the race or anything of the woman. I mean her entire personality. She's this party girl and stuff. She doesn't have this stoic, soft-spoken, almost dead demeanor to everything, And I don't recall in any of the old stories, maybe they changed that in later iterations, but she never had a romance with Icarus. But that's what they did. Anyway, Baloney argues tomorrow still has to deal with the high cost of chasing endurance and connectivity. Yeah, it's always a gamble. So they did a gamble on Eternals, and it didn't work. Disney spends huge money on its IP films, which becomes a bigger issue if the new normal for Marvel is $400 million to $500 million worldwide instead of automatic billion-dollar hits. See, that was part of the downside of the billion-dollar hits. It made them lazy. They got fat and arrogant and thought, we'll just slap Marvel on whatever we put out there and you'll come watch it and sit there and eat it up. Well, that didn't happen, did it? Like, what's going on? Yeah. Baloney notes that big marketing spending maybe, can make sense when a movie works, but adds that the cost of each attempted Disney flywheel spins keeps rising. Then comes the telling part. Baloney says one of those spins are invariably going to lead to Eternals or Tron Ares. Now, Tron Ares, for all its problems, was a hell of a lot better than Eternals. For what it is, it doesn't make a good sequel to the Tron Legacy movie because it only briefly mentions that thing, the details there. It sets it up like that could be revisited for another film, but you got to have a film that can survive. But nevertheless, between the two, Tron Ares is way better than Eternals. But anyway, made 9-figure marketing blitzes look bad fast. So it's not just a casual mention. Eternals is being used as shorthand for an expensive franchise swing that failed to justify itself. Yeah, it struck out. You're up at bat, you swing. They want you to hit that home run, or at least make it to second base. But you struck out instead. Yeah, this character is a man in the comics, Anyway, Marvel did not launch Eternals like a small side project. No, they thought this was going to embark on a brand new whole narrative for the whole damn thing, and then it was dead on arrival. So whatever plans they had, went nowhere. The movie had an Oscar-winning director in Chloe Zhao. Yeah, but didn't she win Oscars for, documentaries and stuff? So A massive cast, Celestials. Yeah, Deviants, well, not really. Those weren't the Deviants. Black Knight teases, yeah, that went nowhere. And a post-credit scene with Harry Styles as Star Fox. Yep, that's all gone. The whole thing was designed to open a new corner of the MCU. It didn't. Instead, Eternals became one of Marvel's weakest franchise launches. The movie grossed $402 million worldwide, landed the MCU's first rotten score on Rotten Tomatoes, and failed to create the kind of demand that forces a sequel. Marvel movies do not just need to make money, they need to make fans want what comes next. Eternals did not. As previously covered, Eternals number 2 has repeatedly been said to be dead or not moving forward at Marvel. Yeah, that's pretty dead. Kevin Feige previously said there were no immediate plans for Eternals number 2. Reports also stated Marvel was not developing a sequel. Bob Iger was even reportedly said to have viewed Eternals number 2 as a guaranteed flop. All right, that sounds pretty dead. Marvel's actions back that up. The Eternals characters have not become major MCU players. Yeah, you never see any of them except that giant Celestial. You saw that. Well, some people saw it in the Captain America Brave New World film. Yeah. Yeah, most didn't go see that either. The giant Celestial in the ocean was ignored for years. Dane Whitman and the Ebony Blade tease went nowhere. Harry Styles' Star Fox has not become a major figure. The sequel's setup was left hanging from a tree in the wind. Marvel moved on. None of the cast has been announced to be returning in Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars. They've been put back to sleep. Well, after Secret Wars, I suppose they could just reboot with a new cast and everything and make it closer to the actual comic book story. But odds are they won't even do that because the Eternals, in the overall Marvel Comics lore, they had a role, but they were never as big as the other characters. Nowhere near, of course, Spider-Man, the Avengers, X-Men. Hell no, they were nowhere near that, or Fantastic Four. So it was an even bigger gamble to throw that out there but then again, they began with Iron Man, and most people didn't really know a whole lot about Iron Man. Unless you were a comic book nerd, you really didn't. And then it burst on the scene and captured the imagination, and they were off to the races after that. So they kind of just took it for granted they could do it again. And but the thing is, that was Iron Man's story in that first movie. They changed it for the period. He's not in Vietnam. He's in Afghanistan and all that. But it stayed pretty close to the lore, I suppose, and you think you can get away with it. And to some degree, and for some of them, maybe you do for a while. But here, this mostly unknown one. And I remember hearing them brag about, yeah, but no one can complain because most people don't know it. So we can do anything we want to with it. And your ideas aren't any good, though. It's not like you improved on some crappy comic book that never went anywhere. You did. So it's baffling. It is. But that's what happened. So now they're saying it failed their franchise test, whatever. How many years later? Yeah, a little too late. So that's too bad. But that's how the Marvel cookie crumbled. Yeah. Oh, well, there's still DC, isn't there? What are they going to do? Well, they really stumbled out the gate with their new initiative, their rebooted DCU. And gee, that's unfortunate. Meanwhile, they've got a Batman franchise that, for whatever reason, they've separated it off to its own. When cast, look, it's Batman. He's like, huh? So Matt Reeves teasing the Batman part number 2 again, this time with new post on X featuring Robert Pattinson's Dark Knight and Jeffrey Wright's Gordon. Following last week's early camera tests showing the Batmobile and Reeves' snow tires tease, the director returned with more Batman posts, writing, We meet again, my friend, with a bat emoji. Well, isn't that cute? The post includes a GIF of Pattinson's Batman standing in the rain, giving fans another reminder that Reeves is officially back in Gotham. Second post features Wright as Gordon. Reeves could be announcing and confirming the cast. Well, update. Third post confirms Andy Serkis return as Alfred. And the fourth announces Colin Farrell back as Oz Cobblepot. Additional posts include Gil Perez Abraham as Officer Martinez. Reeves finished by teasing more tomorrow. So, see, here comes Peekaboo. It's Batman! So there you go. And so that's what he did. He tweeted out these, hey, my friend. So there's Jeffrey Wright, Commissioner Gordon getting shot at. And he goes, hey, my friend. There's Alfred almost getting blown up in the previous movie. Will he get blown up again in this one? I don't know. And then, of course, the Penguin in his car chase with Batman. Remember that? And there you go. And, oh, wait. One more. Batman saving everybody. So I guess that was for Robert. Yeah. But then I thought that was for Robert. Yeah. Well, I guess he did it twice because, he's Batman. And, oh, yeah, Mr. Martinez. So there you go. There he is having a little, meet up with Gordon and all that. And he says more tomorrow. So it's Batman. And it's still raining. It rained throughout the entire movie. Although this one apparently is going to be in the wintertime. So I think it's going to just be snowing through the entire movie. And some think that means Mr. Freeze is coming in there too. But seems unlikely because it's supposed to be this grounded reality thing. But I don't know. Maybe. So the director just shared what was an early camera test for the Batman part number 2. And that was, I did a video on that already. There's, running around in the snow. So there you go. There you go. Are you all excited for the Batman number 2? Well, I didn't care for the Batman number 1. Had a lot of cool atmospherics and all that. Pattinson could probably do a good Batman, but he didn't really get a shot in that movie. And, and there was just a lot of stupid in it. And and story-wise, not a whole lot there. But then the Penguin came along, and that thing was amazing. So if the Batman number 2 can capture what the Penguin was able to do, well, then you really got something. Oh, yeah. Well, speaking of that, you get a Penguin season number 2 in development. Possibly. I mean, if Batman bombs, then I don't know. So the Penguin season number 2 looks like it could be moving forward, as the Writers Guild of America has updated its listings with a second season of the HBO DC series. The WGA listing shows the Penguin season 2 for 2025-2026. 2025 is over, so with Lauren LaFranc listed as showrunner and executive producer. Simi Chelis is also listed as a consulting producer. HBO has not officially announced the Penguin Season 2, so nothing is confirmed yet. However, a WGA listing is a lot more interesting than a random rumor, especially with LaFranc attached after steering the first season. Should probably steer the movie, WGA update follows months of talk about the show possibly continuing. The WGA listing now includes details for the Penguin season number 2, with LaFranc returning and Chelis joining as consulting producer. Matt Reeves previously said the team was in discussions about continuing the story. The WGA listing could be a sign of active development, though again, HBO and DC Studios have not made an official announcement. HBO boss Casey Bloys previously said they were talking with the DC team about what a second season could look like. Peter Safran also sounded less certain earlier in Duty 5, saying There were a lot of moving pieces, including Colin Farrell. Yeah, it's hard work being in that suit for him, you know? Doing it for the movie is probably not as much as it would be for a show, you know, because it's not as much time in it. But to do another one? So Farrell also left the door open, saying he would return if Matt Reeves, Dylan Clark, and Lauren LaFranc came up with a strong enough story for Oz. What the hell's going on? I guess I'm back on. Damn it. I'm just going to pretend like I am. So you could do a follow-up on that within the series, because apparently Catwoman is not in the Batman Part 2. So there you go. Colin Farrell return is telling you what the show was and all of that. So, yeah, Sophia Falcone, that was her. And, you know, she's in Arkham Asylum, but, you know, the story could continue from that. So, I hope it happens. It was a great show. And if you're not going to get much of a follow-up and he's not the main focus of the movie, then that leaves it open for another series, and that would be a good little side project to the overall franchise. And that's part of the problem that DC's going to have going forward. You don't have a Batman, and you've got a Batman, and if Batman Part 2 is a smashing success, that's going to continue for quite some time, provided there's anything for DCU to continue doing. So what else do they got? Well, we got new images for Man of Tomorrow. Yes, set images revealed Nicholas Hoult, Frank Grillo, James Gunn, and more. So, are you ready for Man of Tomorrow? Well, he's coming. Not necessarily tomorrow, but, you know, soon. New Man of Tomorrow set images have surfaced, teasing more of what James Gunn has in store for the next Superman movie. The images reveal Nicholas Hoult back as Lex Luthor, Frank Grillo as Rick Flag Sr., Gunn on set, rapper McKinley Dixon, and Michaela Hoover, and Eddie Cathegi back in training. So it's going to be another clustered cast. So Superman's going to be a guest star in his own movie again. The movie is currently filming, and the new behind-the-scenes looks continue to point to a bigger DCU crossover than the first Superman. Oh, good Lord. So, yeah, there's Rick Flag with his, it's like he has a cliff of hair. And Frank Grillo shared the image, and makeup chair Grillo captioned the post, building of a broken face courtesy of many. They can't take me down alone. Not even Nicholas Hoult, Lex Luthor, Superman, whatever. So he has to fight both of them? The post appears to tease Rick Flag Sr. taking a beating in Man of Tomorrow, possibly at the hands of Lex Luthor or forces tied to him. Well, he does team up with Lex in the Peacemaker show, but, you know, the less said about that, the better. So anyway, there's Luthor. Looks like he's got a wound on his eye, and his hair's gone. Another image shows Nicholas Hoult's makeup. Yeah. And there's James Gunn standing with, I guess that's the rapper. What's his name? Dixon? I don't remember who he plays. Anyway, James Gunn shared, McKinley Dixon, yeah. Gunn said, one of the things about social media is meeting artists in other fields he admires, calling Dixon one of his favorite hip-hop artists of the past few years. So, well, that's nice. Always pushing boundaries without negating emotion or melody, Gunn said of Dixon. Gunn added that he and Dixon were able to hang out on the set of Man of Tomorrow for the past couple of days, where they discussed music and so many other things. It's unclear if Dixon has a role in the movie. Well, then, what is he, I guess, going to be on the soundtrack or something? But his presence on set has fans talking. Dixon previously contributed to Superman with the Mighty Crabjoys theme, which appeared on the film's soundtrack. All right, so he's probably in the soundtrack. So these guys, there's Mr. Terrific and some lovely chick. Oh, and that's Michaela Hoover and Eddie Cathegi. Cathegi played Mr. Terrific, and she played Cat Grant. That's right. So there you go. And I guess they're working out, getting in shape. And Flula Borg, who played Javelin in Gun Suicide Squad. Oh, so he's in this picture too. I don't know which ones, but maybe him. I don't know. But does that mean he crosses over from that? I don't know. Anyway, what about Momoa here? Well, he might show up. The new set images come after speculation that Jason Momoa may also be involved with Man of Tomorrow after reportedly being spotted in Atlanta. Maybe it's like an end credit thing where he comes to capture Superman for the bounty. Or maybe, I don't know, he's part of Brainiac's plan. Anyway, Momoa is already set to play Lobo in Supergirl. And while he could simply have been visiting Adria Arjona, who has been confirmed for the Man of Tomorrow, fans are not, why are they a thing? Is he dating her? Maybe that's the deal. I don't know. Fans are now watching closely to see if Lobo shows up in the Superman sequel. Well, he's about the only thing they got going that might capture some amount of interest, so he probably should put him in there. If Momoa is added, Man of Tomorrow could become one of the DCU's biggest early crossover movies. Yeah, but even Warner Brothers is only giving it 2 weeks run in the theater after they compete with it with Minecraft 2. So, I don't know. Yeah. Oh, well, good luck on that. Maybe it'll all work out. I doubt it. But I don't know. They keep talking about new projects and stuff when most people are thinking Gunn's done after Man of Tomorrow, but maybe not. So, it's always a stay tuned sort of deal with all that razzmatazz. The One Pun, morning Doug. Well, hello, One Pun. A-Tom says, we need a new hero. Yeah, well, you're kind of stuck with the old ones for the time being, I'm afraid. But you never know. They might do something else. They might. Oh, yeah, I already covered this. Well, I don't know. I'll show it anyway. I just won't use it for a video. Look, it's Lobo on this, I guess, Japanese poster for Supergirl. So there you go. There's a brand new hero for a new era. Yeah. Well, remember when he was Aquaman? Well, oh, is it on there? Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. Zack Snyder had darker ideas for Jason Momoa and Aquaman than, what we got. I guess Aquaman's upset about this. I don't know. Before overriding Zack Snyder's vision when he stepped away from Justice League, Warner Brothers gave the director carte blanche to explore every character on the team the way he saw fit. He was meant to have a say in everything initially, even in the direction and tone going into Aquaman's solo film. However, while Snyder had a few ideas, nothing made it beyond the pitch. Snyder wanted Aquaman to be a darker story about revenge that grew the blood feud between Arthur and Black Manta into a powder keg. He also had it in mind to celebrate Jason Momoa's Polynesian heritage in a way that turned Arthur's tattoos into a plot device. More than just for show, they were supposed to have a dramatic story behind them. Right, so this concept was developed by me and Jason Momoa before the films were made to honor his Pacific Islander roots. When Arthur's father is killed by Black Manta's father at the end of the first act, Arthur takes his ashes back to his people in the Pacific Islands for a ritual cremation. During that grieving ceremony, he received the tattoos to honor his father's memory. There's Black Manta. Volko, tasked by his mother to watch over him, provides the Samoan tattoo artist with a special Atlantean needle that can pierce Arthur's dense skin. The tattoos become a permanent inscription of that loss and identity, bringing his Pacific Islander heritage with his Atlantean lineage. And this loss also creates the blood feud between Arthur and Black Manta that drives the larger conflict. Some of that, such as Volko's mentorship of Arthur growing up, it did appear, but there would have been more murder in Snyder's script. Fortunately, Aquaman's dad, Tamura Morrison, survived in James Wan's version, although he was taken out of commission by the global disaster created by Atlantis. It might have been more interesting to see Aquaman and Manta's rivalry play out in something grander and more personal than a B plot where Manta's dad dies, because that needed to happen. However, the brighter, campier film breached the billion-dollar threshold, making Warner happy and complacent for a few years until they were desperate enough to call Snyder back to complete his cut. Yeah. I mean, some of these elements, and, you probably could have done somewhere in between, I suppose. But ultimately, it ends up that way in the second Aquaman film. It's Black Manta wanting revenge. You have the fight between the two of them. So you kind of end up there anyway. You just didn't have to kill his dad over it. So, I don't know. I guess as far as Aquaman goes, hey, it kind of worked out. Yeah. So, there is that. But now he's Lobo. Yeah. Yeah, he is. And he's probably going to stay that way. But he's going to be Lobo first in Supergirl. Supergirl tracking opens stronger than Mortal Kombat 2 as Mandalorian gets big bump. Well, finally some good news for Supergirl, not to mention Mandalorian as well. But anyway, so Supergirl box office tracking is in. The early numbers do not look too bad for DC Studios and Warner Brothers. The first early tracking from the Quorum has Supergirl with 53% awareness and 48% interest ahead of its June 26th release. The Quorum tracks movie awareness and interest through audience surveys, giving an early look at which upcoming films people know about and want to see. It's not a blowout number yet, but it puts the movie in a better spot than Mortal Kombat 2 was heading into release, which matters after that sequel underperformed at the weekend box office. Supergirl currently has an awareness, again, 53 and 48. For comparison, Mortal Kombat 2 had 48 awareness and 48 interest just before release. The problem is Mortal Kombat 2 actually dropped closer to opening weekend, which ended up matching what happened at the box office. Mortal Kombat 2 opened to $38.5 million domestically, according to Box Office Mojo, after earlier projections had it closer to $50 million. Whoopsie-doodle-doo. Supergirl is still more than a month out, so DC Studios and Warner Brothers have time to push the marketing. The awareness is there, but the interest needs a boost. Quorum also says both awareness and interest dropped, but only by a point each. It really needs all it can get. And whatever marketing they have so far really hasn't paid off all that much. I don't think they're taking too much of a liking to how they've presented her as this, drunken brat, Even though there's probably a redemptive arc throughout the story where she becomes more of a serious hero by the end. I'm guessing. But, and, I mean, look, she could do well enough for a Supergirl movie, but she's in a position now where she has to carry the weight of the entire DCU because Superman stumbled, Peacemaker Season 2 was awful, and whatever problems Commandos had, so far it's probably the best of the three, and but nobody watched it. So, the trailers and featurettes have already started setting up Millie Alcock's Kara as a different kind of Kryptonian than Superman. And the next few weeks will likely decide whether general audiences show up. Wow, the Mandalorian's and Supergirl? Oh, no, wait. The Mandalorian and Grogu also gets a good sign in the latest tracking. The Star Wars movie jumped 6 points in awareness, bringing it to 52, while interest sits at 50. So it's ahead of Supergirl, but not by a whole lot. But Star Wars, holy crap, is it in a bad place. So the movie opens May 22nd. So the timing is important. Disney is now about a week out. And awareness moving up this close to release is what the studio wants to see. The bigger question is whether it is enough to revive Star Wars on the big screen. No. Look, it's a single, isolated project in a lot of ways. I mean, it leans heavy into Star Wars and stuff like that, but it's not one of the main trilogy movies, and it could do well unto itself. So suddenly you announce a new trilogy. Is there interest in it? I don't think so. So Disney has not had a theatrical Star Wars movie since The Rise of Palpatine in 2019. So The Mandalorian and Grogu has a lot riding on it. Yeah. Meanwhile, Masters of the Universe awareness is up, but interest is still low. That just means, yeah, I know about it, but I don't care. So that's a bad place to be. The movie has a 40% awareness score, up 2 points. Well, there is that. But its latest score is only 41 and down 1 point. That is not a disaster, but it shows Amazon MGM still has work to do before the June 5th release. Well, at least it's got, like Supergirl, it's got more time than Mandalorian does. The He-Man brand has name recognition, but the tracking suggests the movie still needs to convince more people that it is worth seeing in theaters. Well, I can tell you all that stuff about him being silly, working at an office job on Earth. Yeah. So, no surprise here. Scary Movie 6 and Toy Story 5 continue to lead the chart. So, there you go. They're going to dominate. So. Scary Movie 6 has 60% awareness and 55 interest, while Toy Story has 68 awareness and 59 interest. So, of course, those are the strongest numbers on the board, which makes sense given both titles come from franchises audiences already know, and they're successful franchises. They haven't been sabotaged yet. Toy Story 5 also has the Disney Pixar brand behind it. Yeah, but it's Toy Story. That's the main strength there. Pixar doesn't mean a whole lot anymore. They've had some steamers in the corner of the room, While Scary Movie 6 has nostalgia and comedy working in its favor. The Death of Robin Hood, starring Hugh Jackman, is on the lower side with 21 awareness and 42 interest. That is not shocking since it is an A24 release and not a 4-quadrant summer blockbuster. The interest number is not terrible, but the awareness shows it still has a smaller footprint compared to the bigger franchise titles. Yeah, but for what it is, that might be okay. Disclosure Day has an awareness problem. Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day looks like the biggest concern on the chart. The Universal release has only 23 points awareness and 45 interest. About a month to go before its June 12th release. Interest is not the issue. Awareness is. Nobody knows what it is. Whoopsie. Matt Belloni of Pug, that's with a P, also flagged the problem, writing that Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day has an awareness problem based on the quorum's early track. Well, yeah. For a summer Spielberg movie, those numbers are not where Universal likely wants them to be. The studio still has time, but Disclosure Day needs a bigger marketing push. Fast. Well, what are you upset about, Supergirl? Your numbers are doing better than Steven Spielberg. Anyway, the takeaway is that Supergirl is not in bad shape. For the movie isolated to itself, perhaps. But it's got to carry a whole shared universe franchise, and I don't know. The movie's already ahead of Mortal Kombat 2 in awareness and matching it in interest more than a month out. Mortal Kombat 2's late tracking drop should be a warning sign. But Supergirl still has time to build momentum. The next few weeks will matter. If awareness climbs and interest holds, Supergirl could enter release in solid shape for DC Studios. If the numbers stall, Warner Brothers may have a tougher sale on its hands. Yeah. So anyway, so it's a collection of good and bad because it's got more on its plate to deal with than just being a successful movie, which is unfair to it, but, Superman stumbled. And they did that season. Am I still on? Come on. Why is it all frozen? See, now I don't even know if I'm even on the air. So let's check YouTube. I still got a couple of more stories to do. Let's just get to this and that and that and this. Spinning around. And I don't know. It's looking like I'm not live anymore or even on the air. Okay. All right. Looks like I'm still there. Gotta be sure, because why waste time? You understand. All right, back to it. So that's it for, Marvel and DC and all that nonsense. I guess I'll talk about Ahsoka. There's not much here, but yeah, what a disappointment that turned out to be. Ahsoka season number 2 gets early 2027 release date at Disney upfronts. So there she is. That's Ahsoka, Lucasfilm announced Ahsoka season number 2 at Disney's upfronts presentation, confirming the Star Wars series will premiere in early 2027 on DP. The reveal comes with a new look at the upcoming season, including footage of Hayden Christensen returning as Anakin Skywalker. Oh, yeah. So there you go, and they still got the world between worlds symbol. Oh, boy, when they first started showing that, teasing the show, everyone got excited and thought, oh, man, they're going to retcon the sequel trilogy. They didn't. And quite frankly, it didn't even make sense. It's like, oh, Ahsoka needs this pep talk from Anakin. She did? There really wasn't much to that season. It had a lot of spectacular special effects and stuff like that. And poor Ray Stevens, he was great in it, and sadly he passed away. The character's been recast, but ultimately there just wasn't. And that the cool. Well, I guess he wasn't a Sith, but an Inquisitor. I keep calling him Grill Face. I mean, he looked cool, but then he just gets killed, and he really was the smoke monster. Just the smoke comes out of his costume and flies away. Maybe he's still alive. I don't know. But anyway, Rosario Dawson appeared at the Disney Upfront Showcase to announce that Ahsoka season number 2, will arrive in 2027. Lucasfilm also debuted a sizzle reel and behind-the-scenes images for media in attendance. The date stands out because filming on Ahsoka season number 2 reportedly wrapped in 2025. With the show now set for early 2027, that creates a long gap between the first season, which premiered in 2023, and the follow-up. I don't know, reshoots, post-production, taking a while trying to fix it in post. I don't know. Lucasfilm did not give a reason for the 2025 release window. New footage shown at the upfronts included more of Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker. Christensen appeared in the first season through Ahsoka's World Between Worlds storyline, where Anakin helped push Ahsoka forward after her battle with Baylan Skoll. Season number 2 looks to continue that connection, with Anakin once again factoring into Ahsoka's story. Forbes points out that Dave Filoni's larger role at Lucasfilm could also be part of the reason Ahsoka's season number 2 is taking longer. Yeah, I suppose so. So now he has the opportunity to change. Maybe. I mean, look, he was in charge of Ahsoka and all that, but maybe he was locked by KK's rules and now he's got a freer hand. you can hope for it, but that's one of the things. It wasn't like all these Star Wars shows were so woke. Most of them weren't. They were just so bad and dull. Yeah. Probably the best one they did was that little, see, even I'm dropping the name, Skeleton Crew. It's a cute little show for kids, but at least it had a narrative, a story, and plot, and some character development. And Jude Law was great at it. And then, of course, the mall cartoon they just did, that one was pretty damn good. But the bulk of the output is just garbage. And Acolyte's not even worth mentioning. Forbes argues the transition likely keeps Filoni busier than before, which could push Ahsoka back even further as he takes on a larger role overseeing the creative direction of Star Wars. So, Ahsoka Season 1 ended with Ahsoka Tano and Sabine Wren stranded in Peridea, while Grand Admiral Thrawn escaped back to the main galaxy with Ezra Bridger, also making his return. Yeah, what a letdown. They had this big build-up through the show with Ezra Bridger, and then when you finally catch up with him, they just treat him like a joke. It was just so wrong-headed. It was just so bad and stupid. Anyway, the ending set up Thrawn as a major threat. Well, he came across as kind of an idiot. You know? So you got to fix that, too. While Ahsoka and Sabine were left in a strange new position far from home. Yeah, but I guess they can hitch another ride with the farting whales and get back. So season number 2 is expected to continue those threads, with Dawson back as Ahsoka and Christensen back as Anakin. Ahsoka was once expected to feed into Dave Filoni's big Star Wars crossover movie, which would bring together storylines from The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and the New Republic era. Forbes notes that the reported Mandalorian/Ahsoka crossover film has been pushed to the back burner, while Lucasfilm is instead moving forward with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. For now, Ahsoka season number 2 is the next step for the storyline. Yeah, but if no one watches that one either, it's going to be time to cut bait and move on. So, Star Wars is in a lot of trouble. And it was a letdown because of all this symbology with the world between worlds. Though, hey, that's the key. That's the way you can retcon the sequel trilogy. And maybe at the time that would have garnered enough excitement. But at this late date, I mean, yeah, go ahead. I don't know that it matters at this point. And anyway, you're never going to. You can't undo that huge mistake of ignoring this Beatles reunion opportunity you had with the original cast. Carrie Fisher's dead. Yeah, you can't go back. Say, well, AI and stuff. Yeah. So, yeah, I suppose an animated thing or hell recast. I don't know, but I just don't think there's much excitement for any of that. So, that's too bad. But based on the performance of the first season, not just because of, well, they didn't really do anything to retcon the story, sequel trilogy. It was just boring and too much stupid. So if it's another season of that, what are you doing? Well, hopefully you're not doing more of the same, but odds are you will. Sad thing is, what if it's really a bang-up, excellent season of a show? Crystal Lake, the Friday the 13th expanded prequel series from A24. The drama series will premiere October 15th on Peacock, just in time for Halloween season. Peacock has also previously shown off first-look images from the series, giving fans their first tease of the new take on the Friday the 13th franchise. So, well, we know who that is, but we don't see his face. So I guess we'll see him getting picked on by the snotty kids at the camp that drives his mom crazy, and she eventually starts killing people. And then Jason, through, I don't know, some supernatural means, carries on the mission of mass murder for the movies. So anyway, the series is described as an expanded prequel to Friday the 13th, the long-running horror franchise centered around Camp Crystal Lake and Jason Voorhees. The project comes from Peacock and A24. Yeah, but, okay. Brad Caleb Kane serving as creator, writer, showrunner, executive producer. Good Lord, he's doing it all. So here's some more images. Oh, it looks like, I bet that's Mama holding the knife. Oh, no. There's the lake. Sure. And then some, yeah, of course, kids getting it on at the camp, and then they're going to get murdered brutally. Crystal Lake is set in the world of Friday the 13th. Well, yes, and expands the mythology behind the horror franchise. While plot details are still being kept under wraps. Well, if you saw the first film, it's kind of explained somewhat. Anyway, the series is being billed as a prequel. Well, yes, meaning it will explore events tied to Camp Crystal Lake before the main Friday the 13th story fans know from the movies. The franchise began with the original 1980 Friday the 13th, which introduced the cursed camp and the Voorhees family tragedy that launched one of horror's most famous slasher series. Crystal Lake marks the return of Friday the 13th as a television drama series. Well, the Friday the 13th TV series had nothing to do with Jason and Crystal Lake. Rather than simply rebooting Jason Voorhees for another movie, Peacock and A24 are expanding the story for streaming. The prequel approach gives the series room to dig into the history of Crystal Lake, the Voorhees family, and the events that shaped the franchise's bloody legacy. Well, Crystal Lake includes all these people. Linda Cardinelli. Is she going to be Mama Voorhees? Maybe. And, these other people. Cardellina leads the cast after starring in projects including Freaks and Geeks, Scooby-Doo, Dead to Me, Hawkeye, and The Curse of La Llorona. Oh, yeah, the Conjuring movie. And she was in Mad Men, prancing around in her underwear. That was awesome. Yeah. But anyway, I guess maybe she's Mrs. Voorhees. I don't know. She's leading the cast. So, well, it's another prequel series. Oh, and these guys are producing it, blah, blah, blah. There you go. Another prequel. But as for Friday the 13th, what else is there? I mean, the kids go to Camp Crystal and they get slaughtered, by Jason. He's got his hockey mask. I don't know if we'll learn if young Jason was a big hockey fan. Maybe he was, and that sort of thing. As for why he really liked machetes, maybe that's Mama teaches him that. All those elements. But how long can it go? It's kind of like a while back they did that Bates Motel thing. Supposed to explain how Norman ended up the way he was and that sort of stuff. So probably similar to that in this. But for how many episodes or seasons can you do? And so eventually you got to already have it in mind that you end it. You can't do a whole lot that changes from what's already been established, that this kid. And then I mean, more of an explanation for, obviously there's something supernatural about Jason, because they've killed him how many times? And he keeps coming back, even in outer space. So, it's quite the challenge when it comes to prequels and that sort of thing. But it's trying to milk a franchise. Can it work? Will it be interesting? Well, it's easy to be dubious, but I don't know. Maybe they'll actually pull something out of Crystal Lake for your entertainment on Peacock. All right. That's it for that. All that is left to talk about is Bond. James Bond. Just on the casting and what's Amazon going to do with it. Mostly about the casting. Are they going to screw it up? Odds are, But look, this is the first time for everything. So maybe they'll get Bond right and it'll be okay. And, hey, they got a good Reacher series on there. It shouldn't be impossible. So, Jacob E. Lordy back in the James Bond race. New pole position. Rumor emerges. Just when it looked like Jacob E. Lordy Bond rumors were cooling off, they're heating up again. After Matt Maloney of Pug News, that's with a P, recently pushed back on reports that Elordi had been cast as Amazon's new James Bond, a new claim now says the Euphoria star may actually be in pole position for the role. Here's what's being said. What does the dog think? I don't know. While discussing the latest prediction market, speaking on the Rest is Entertainment podcast, Guardian reporter Marina Hyde said she's heard from multiple sources that Jacob E. Lordy has moved into the lead position to play 007. Well, that would make him easily the tallest man to play the role. I mean, he was great as Frankenstein. The movie looked incredible and had a lot of great scenes in it, but ultimately, what a messed up story, especially with, what's her name, falling in love with him. Weird. But anyway, he's a big dude, and so he played the monster, But James Bond? Now you got to hire even bigger dudes to go up against him and stuff. Anyway, Hyde stressed nothing is finalized. No one signed anything. It definitely hasn't been a done deal yet. But she added she has heard from a number of people that Elordi may currently be the studio's top choice, even if contracts haven't been signed. That is what I've heard. It definitely hasn't been a done deal yet, but that might be their number one choice. Again, this is merely the opinion of people not a million miles from, she said. So he's got to wait by his airplane. Like baloney, Hyde also acknowledged the elephant in the room. Elordi is around 6'5". Good Lord. He's a couple of inches taller than me. Questions remain about whether someone that tall convincingly plays a spy who blends into high-stakes environments like Monte Carlo casinos. The concern is similar to what Baloney raised. Bond traditionally carries a presence, but not one that physically dominates every room. It's like maybe he could play Batman, He could probably do that. Anyway, still, Hyde did not frame it as a deal breaker. Hyde laid out several reasons why Elordi could be a strong pick. He's 28 years old. They want a younger Bond, which is why Henry Cavill is out of the picture, even though he would be the obvious choice, but nevertheless. He could realistically play Bond for 10 years. So there is that. He's one of the biggest Gen Z male stars. He brings a built-in global audience. He isn't locked into another mega franchise. Well, all right there. That's pretty much the whole deal. She described him as a massive Gen Z A-lister with strong appeal, particularly among younger audiences and women. From Amazon's perspective, that demographic matters. If the studio wants to relaunch Bond with a younger lead and build out a long-term franchise, possibly including spinoffs, Elordi checks key boxes. Elordi is Australian, not British. Whoopsie. Well, Hyde argued that it isn't necessarily a problem, noting that Bond has been played by non-English actors before. Well, I don't know, because a couple of them were Scottish. Well, anyway, she did differentiate that from casting an American, which she suggested won't happen. Boy, they really... Yeah, you really hate Americans, don't you? Anyway, Hyde mentioned that Callum Turner had previously been way out ahead, but suggested momentum may have shifted. Baloney, meanwhile, recently predicted Amazon would likely go with a younger, less established actor in the 27 to 32 range. At 28, Elordi fits that age bracket almost perfectly. Turner at 36 may sit slightly outside what Amazon reportedly wants if they're aiming for a long runway. Hyde added she loves Turner, and he is definitely in the mix. It could very well be Caleb Turner, and I think he's fantastic, she said. I love him. Well, that's a little more personal, isn't it? So, I don't know. Well, between the two of them, I mean, it's hard to believe he's the older one of the two. I mean, he looks rather, I don't know how old this is. He's in Masters of the Air, and he might be much younger there. Looks rather young in that picture. Whereas Elordi, I mean, you got him photoshopped in the pose and everything. He almost looks the part here, and it might be the better one of the two. I don't know. And again, with his height, you can make that work. You know, have him stand in a trough or a ditch around the other actors. And maybe that'll work out. The main question remains, it's in the hands of Amazon. And this is a big brand. You know, something like Reacher was probably left alone and let it breathe. Whereas Bond, you know, they're going to have all these people around it that have the potential of just destroying it. So that's the fear. If they just do a damn Bond movie, you'll be good. You'll be good. And you can let Bond save the day. That's what he's supposed to do. So anyway, there we go. There's your Nailsin ratings. Live. And I guess no one really cares about that crap. But it's, you know, a way to do the videos that might get some views. I don't know. Probably not. God. I'm just a miserable failure. An utter miserable failure. Anyway, that's it. And, man, this whole platform is acting very weird. I can't tell. It looks like everything went out. I hope it did. And for anybody who stuck around, well, you got to spend time with me. Isn't that something? Isn't that great? I hope it was. So do enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll hopefully visit again soon. And I don't know, I'll do something. Maybe just draw stuff. I keep saying that, and then I never do because I'm so damn tired, and my arms get sore. I got this problem with my shoulders and all that. You know, wah, but yeah, it hurts. Hopefully I can do a show with Pat. I fell asleep after Doomcock. I mean, all of a sudden that happens. It's like the bottom fell out. And I had to go lay down, you know, and I thought, well, you know, 20, 30 minutes, that ought to do it. 3 hours went by. Holy crap. I guess I was tired. Then I got up and I missed his show, you know. Jeez. I think I did one show with him this week. I did have time to do the New York Post Stories video for New York City Crime Report. So that's done, and I'll send that off to him for his Friday show. And when I'm not available, I need to send him more Nailsin news stuff. He can use that, I suppose, when I'm, I don't know, comatose. So, yeah, that's all sad and bad. But anyway, but I did, after that, I watched the Punisher show. So I got that done, and that'll be the first thing I put out as a separate video, and then I'll have to edit what I've done here, provided there's anything. That last Nailsin News live thing I did, I thought it'd be cool to have the news ticker sound effects on it, and it sounded fine from my end, but when I got the recording, I mean, you can hear me, but good Lord, no one said anything in the chat, but it was way overbearing, so I can't use any of that. So I'll have to, I've already retaped a couple of them and to be separate Nailsin News things. But I don't mean, yeah. But I got a whole bunch of other news stories that I can do. So maybe that's what I'll do later tonight for Nailsin stuff. But that'll have to do it. All right. Again, thanks for watching and all that good stuff. And we'll do it again soon. Oh, Anti-Derivative Jill. Thank you, Hugs Doug. Yes. YouTube is buggy because they are letting AI write the code by it. So, yeah, that's what I hear. So it could very well just be that. And yes, Doomcock's birthday is Friday. I did wish him happy birthday at the end of the show. So I got that in. So it's going to be his birthday this Friday. If you've got the time to show up, check out Friday Night Frolics with Overlord DVD, coming to you from the center of the earth, singing songs, doing auditions from famous characters for other stuff. I don't know what all. And it'll be a surprise, and it'll be his birthday show. Yeah. So you can catch that. All right, I guess that'll do it for this edition of Nailsin Ratings Live. And I'll take off. And again, thanks for being here. And do enjoy the rest of your day. Me? I guess I'm going to, I don't know, probably collapse into unconsciousness again. I tend to do that. Yeah, that's what I do.
That's the end. Beautiful friend.
Song stupid. Oh, man. See, it's like Nailsin, not miscellanea. There it is. Oh, my goodness, that's embarrassing. Gee, I hope no one saw. Oh, my goodness, that's embarrassing.
A darker, taller tale is a tour. Hollywood could really wish they would. There's no debating. All that's left is the Nailsin reign. The first feast on the corpse of the beast. Only after the feel of the vulture.